Hey there, it's Casey Denman, TaxSaleAcademy.com. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's question segment. This week's question comes from Jayhawk Fan. He wants to know if there's a specific formula that I use to determine maximum bid amounts at tax sales. Fantastic question. I do have a rough formula that I use to invest with. It's something that we teach in depth inside the Tax Sale Academy. But just like the best area for you and the best area for me are two completely different things, the same can be applied for a specific formula. I'm not a believer that everybody needs to use the same exact formula. And the reason that there's so many different factors that go into this, the capital that's available, the time you have available to invest, your experience, your cost, your risk tolerance, all these things and many more must factor into it. A lot of people will tell you to stick to, say, a percentage of the market value or the tax assessed value or whatever it might be. But the fact is, if I tell you to spend 60% of market value on every single tax sale property, I don't take into account so many things. Your personal financial situation, the area that you're investing in, the risk for that property. There's just so many things that go into it that 60% might be overpaying in many markets, right? Or 60% might be severely underpaying and won't allow you to be competitive and you'll never buy a single property. So whatever the number is, just understand that it should be fluid with your business. So with that said, I'm a big believer in using factors, ratios, percentages, set numbers, whatever you want to call them. Big believer. I'm just not a big believer that everyone should use the same exact number because that's just a little bit ridiculous because it doesn't factor in enough stuff. So what I use is, say, a 1-to-3 ratio. That's where you buy at 1/3 of your anticipated selling price. This would obviously work best and might only work for your low dollar stuff, like a lot for, say, $1,000. And then you sell it for $3,000. So what you're seeing here is that the dollar margin is fairly low, but your percentage margin is really high. So that dollar margin doesn't give you a whole lot of buffer if any unexpected issues come up. So that's why your ratio or your formula might want to be a little bit larger, be, a little bit wider for the cheaper stuff. And maybe you go up from there, maybe a 1-to-2 ratio for slightly more expensive stuff and use something like 5-to-7 if you're spending, say, over $100,000 or whatever it might be. You could always change it up here and there as well for the more risky stuff, for the more conservative stuff that you can sell right away. And again, these are just like random numbers I'm tossing out there, but my point is that your ratio should be very fluid when you establish it. Now, whatever that ratio, that factor, that percentage is that you use to invest with, I want you to understand, once you establish it, it needs to be a non-negotiable pre-auction. So set it pre-auction and do not adjust it on the fly. The only time you adjust that is after the auction. Take a look at what happened and then make adjustments if they make financial sense for you personally and then move forward from there. The entire point of having a formula, percentage, or whatever you want to call it, is a set in stone number that you do not pay more than. This really kind of guides you while you're at the tax auction. So keep that number and only adjust it on an as required basis after the auction. So again, establish that formula based on you personally, the areas that you invest, risk tolerance, your experience, capital, all that kind of stuff, and then go from there, have it set in stone and only readjust after the auction. Kind of look back and see how competitive you were and that kind of stuff, and if it makes sense to, to tighten up your margins a little bit after the auction. But don't do it on the fly, please, because that'll get you into a lot of trouble trying to buy properties because you think at the last minute it's really worth more than it is, when in fact it might not be. That's called emotional bidding, and I don't want you to do that. So hopefully this has helped answer your question. If you have any other questions or anybody else has any questions about tax on investing, feel free to leave a comment down below this video or on any of our other videos on YouTube. For more information on tax on investing, just head over to TaxSaleAcademy.com, click on join, and become a member of the Tax Sale Academy. Or if you're not quite ready to join, pick up my book at that same website, TaxSaleAcademy.com. The book is a tax sale playbook. It is completely free. I bought the book for you. All that I ask is that you cover the shipping costs to get it from our warehouse to your front door, which is very nominal inside the United States. Take care. Bye-bye.